Chapter 1. Cyrus Kane knocked on the Werewolf King's office door, purposely ignoring the tall guards on either side. His hand shook when he knocked again. He tried to calm his nerves by taking a deep breath, even though he knew the other shifters could smell his skittishness. Worry and anxiety jangled him from the inside out. This had to work. For once Justin depended on him, and Cyrus wasn't going to let his brother down. He didn't know what he would do if the king denied his request. His brother needed help, and Cyrus didn't plan to leave the Alpha's doorstep until he had his way. He might not be the toughest wolf in the pack, but even his wife would agree he could beat anyone in tenacity. He isn't going to bite, you know. Anna would kill him, said George, the guard standing to Cyrus' left. His friendly smile didn't calm Cyrus' nerves, but he appreciated the attempt. Cyrus returned the smile, though he doubted it would convince anyone of his ease with the situation. Marrying the king's sister only brought so many privileges. As jumbled thoughts spun about in his mind, the door opened and the king's right-hand man and best friend stood before him. Cyrus. Douglas stepped forward with a welcoming expression and a friendly hug. You can just walk in, you know. You're a member of the royal family now. That does come with some perks. Cyrus shrugged. He'd never be the type to rush in and start making demands. His wife had more alpha tendencies than he ever would, but it worked in their relationship. She liked to be in charge, and he preferred to have someone tell him what to do. I'll remember next time, he promised. May I come in? Of course. Douglas stepped back to allow him to enter. Cyrus entered the king's office and came to a halt before his desk. Moisture left his mouth as he met the king's gaze for a heart-stuttering 5 seconds. Only for his brother would he dare to approach the intimidating man, but for Justin he'd do anything. Werewolf King Peter Moore watched his brother-in-law walk into the room and suppressed a smile. His sister's choice of mates never ceased to amaze him. She had chosen such a timid wolf, sweet as pie and even prettier than Anna. Peter could easily see what his siblings saw in the man, but Peter liked his lovers with harder edges and much tougher. Any mate by his side would have to be strong enough to keep the pack in line and be ready to fight to protect the wolves Peter watched over. Still, Peter would do anything for the newest addition to his family, especially because Cyrus made his sister glow with adoration. Peter shook his head at the sight of Cyrus' bare feet. According to Anna, her mate hated shoes with a passion and only wore them when he had to. He rose to greet his new relation. Shaking Cyrus' hand, Peter leaned forward and brushed his cheek against Cyrus, marking him with his scent to remind others Cyrus had the king's protection. Of course, for an added incentive, Anna would rip off their head and beat them with it if they looked cross-eyed at her spouse. However, Peter didn't keep his kingship by letting details slip by. He smelled Cyrus' nervousness and saw the apprehension in the wolf's pale violet eyes. When he stepped back, he didn't think he usually frightened his brother-in-law. Greetings, brother. Is there something I can help you with? He kept his voice low and calm, projecting reassurance as only an alpha could. Glancing over, he noticed Douglas still in the room. His best friend shook his head, letting Peter know that Douglas had no idea what had upset Cyrus. Gee, greetings, brother. Cyrus looked everywhere but at Peter. Peter waited for Cyrus to state what he wanted. Rushing Cyrus only led to jumbled sentences and stuttered words. Cyrus swallowed noisily. I came to ask you for a favor. The words stumbled out in a rush, as if once Cyrus decided to speak, he had to say all the words together. Come, sit down. Cyrus sat in the chair Peter indicated, fidgeting his feet, then his hands, until he began to make Peter nervous. What kind of favor induced a panic attack? Peter perched on the edge of his desk, trying to set Cyrus at ease. Douglas sat in the chair beside Cyrus. Peter could see curiosity eating away at his beta. When Cyrus showed no sign of speaking again, Peter tried a small prompt. What kind of favor can I do for you? Cyrus twisted his fingers together, unable to meet his alpha's gaze. He audibly swallowed before he spoke. And my brother is going to be in town, and I was hoping you would grant him amnesty and allow him to stay here. Amnesty could only be requested for non-wolves to allow them onto pack grounds. What is he? Douglas asked, breaking into the silence. Cyrus paused for so long Peter wondered if he would answer. Justin is my half-brother. Peter sat up straighter. He knew for a fact there were more than wolves in Cyrus' family tree. Once again, what is he? Cyrus found his hands extremely interesting as he avoided Peter's gaze. Justin's a wizard. But he recently broke up with his lover, and I don't think he should be alone, Cyrus confessed. Do you think he's suicidal? Peter could feel the bars closing around him. He didn't especially want to throw a wizard into the pack mix, but he couldn't, in good conscience, let the brother of his sister's mate fend for himself. Pack took family seriously, even adopted family. Cyrus laughed. No, he's just self-destructive. This is also the anniversary of our father's death, and Justin always acts out this time of year. I worry what he'll do if he's left by himself. I don't want him out on the town, picking up men without regard to his safety because he's depressed. Men. Peter's heart slammed against his chest. The image of another man, walking around looking like his brother-in-law and hunting other men made Peter's hunger rise. His inner wolf tilted its head in puzzlement. They'd never been overly attracted to men before. And while Peter had always found Cyrus attractive, it stemmed from a what pretty children he'd have with Anna kind of way. Yeah, he's gay. Is that a problem? For the first time, Peter saw the fire Anna always rhapsodized about flashing in Cyrus' eyes. No problem. I stand by my belief that a mate is the one who bonds with our soul and is not determined by sex or species. I know not all wers subscribe to that theory, but as long as I'm king, my people will be able to mate where they will. Peter remained adamant that wers should be able to match with their soul mate. End of story. Sex or species had no bearing on the true love of a werewolf, despite what some of the older members proclaimed. Peter cleared his throat. Does he look like you? Peter. Douglas exclaimed. What? He'd asked a perfectly innocent question. Okay, maybe not innocent, but a question. Cyrus frowned. No, Justin doesn't look like me. Well, except the eyes. We both have father's eyes. Beautiful eyes. A wizard could cause a lot of problems, Douglas cautioned, frowning his disapproval of the idea. Some wers can't resist the smell of magic. Wouldn't want to be responsible for an accidental mauling. Peter shrugged. The pack can fend for themselves. After all, one wizard can't cause too much trouble. A single wizard shouldn't be a problem among a large pack of werewolves. If Justin and his brother were anything alike, Peter probably wouldn't even know he was there. Cyrus, go ahead and tell your brother he can stay with us. I'm sure the pack can cope for a few days. Thank you. Cyrus' grateful expression reinforced Peter's belief he'd done the right thing. You're welcome. Besides, it wouldn't hurt to make Cyrus feel more a part of the pack, even if Peter had to have a wizard on his land for a few days. The sound of a motorcycle engine was Peter's first indication he'd completely misjudged the wizard situation. Drawn from his study by the loud noise, he walked out to the front porch and watched a Harley pull through the iron gates, with a long-legged bad boy straddling the purring beast. The motorcycle rolled to a halt, and the driver cut the motor, bringing a welcome silence and the happy event of the rider sliding off the machine. The man swung his leg over the beast with a slinky gray strippers could take notes on. Cyrus darted out of the house to greet the newcomer. Peter had to restrain himself from grabbing his brother-in-law and pulling him out of danger. Who knew what this newcomer would do to the shy, almost delicate wolf? A whiff of breeze brought the scent of the hot man to Peter's nose. The overpowering smell of magic meant the visitor could only be the troubled brother at his door. Damn, Justin might prove to be the type of trouble Peter could get behind or inside, or anything involving the two of them naked with a horizontal surface or a vertically flat one. Peter's body grew taut with need when he took in how well the blue jeans fit the tall, muscular form standing on his drive. For the first time in his life, Peter's body awakened for a man. He licked his lips when Cyrus' brother removed his helmet. Damn. Bright blonde hair slid from the helmet like liquid sunshine. He must have made a sound because the brothers turned toward him, and Peter found himself the focus of matching violet eyes. However, where Cyrus' eyes were soft and gentle, and reminded Peter of a beautiful flower, Justin's were bright and passionate, and said he wanted to devour Peter in big, greedy bites. The wizard gave him a wicked smile before leaning over the bike to pull a backpack from one of the saddlebags. Douglas grabbed Peter's arm just as he was about to head down the steps. What? He snarled. What are you doing? Douglas asked. Peter turned to find his best friend staring at him like he was a stranger. He tried for innocent. I'm going to greet Cyrus, brother. After all, he is a member of the family. Or would be, once Peter hunted him down, pinned him beneath his mating fangs, and fucked him senseless. A brother of a brother doesn't make him family. It makes him an acquaintance. Douglas' hold on Peter tightened. Peter shook him off. It's my duty to greet any newcomer. That's not what you said last week when Maria's cousin visited. Maria's cousin didn't smell this good. What's your problem? He was completely baffled as to why his friend cared if he greeted Justin or not. Besides, Maria's cousin, a timid mousy female, never appealed to Peter on any level. Not like the wizard on his doorstep. You're looking at him like he's the last steak at a full moon buffet. Douglas snapped. Is there a problem? A voice spoke behind Peter like dark, rich coffee. Wrapped around him like a soothing embrace and made him want to show his belly to the other man just for the chance to bask in his presence. Peter turned and found Justin close, so very close. Unable to stop his wolf instinct, he stepped forward and slid his arms around the other man. I'm Peter. Kiss me. Before Justin could speak, Peter yanked the wizard toward him and kissed him on the lips. Lightning sizzled through his senses. Peter moaned over the contrast between soft lips and rough whiskers. So not like kissing a woman. Nothing soft existed between them, just heat and muscle. Justin's erection rubbed against Peter as the blonde battled to take control of the lip lock. A low growl filled the air, and to Peter's surprise, it didn't come from him. Justin's large hands cupped his head, and the wizard snatched control from him. For the first time in his life, Peter didn't mind. The thought had him leaning away from the kiss. Stay still, Justin demanded against Peter's lips. I'm not done with you. The wizard's commanding tone had Peter melting against him. One simple certainty hit Peter. This man was his mate. No one else could make him submissive. He'd been born an alpha. He'd known from the age of 5 when he'd taken over the kindergarten class by the force of his power. He'd never submitted to anyone except this man. Peter was trying to digest this startling development when Justin released him. Panting, the men examined each other. Justin's slow smile fueled the fire burning in Peter's gut. No, Douglas screamed. He's mine. Douglas jumped forward, transformed his human hands to sharp wolf claws, and attacked. Peter stepped into his path, unsheathing claws of his own, only to be displaced. An invisible power lifted him out of the way while a crackle of electricity filled the air. Paralyzed, he watched Douglas fly 3 feet backward and land hard on the packed dirt driveway. A moment later, Peter's strange paralysis vanished, and he could move again. He turned to Justin. What did you do? Justin shrugged. I couldn't let you get hurt. He gave Peter a look that heated him to his toes. Not after that kiss. Let me. Peter snarled, shaking off the man's strange effect over him. This stranger would not undermine his command even if his body melted from the warmth in Justin's eyes. Justin, Peter is the alpha of the pack, Cyrus whispered, his gaze nervously darting from one man to the other. Oops. The gorgeous wizard leaned over and kissed Peter on the cheek. Sorry, handsome. I didn't mean to step all over your alphaness. Speechless, Peter struggled to hold on to his anger while his cheek tingled from the contact. He gritted his teeth, fighting the compulsion to drag Justin back to his bedroom and do wicked things to the sexy wizard. The wild glimmer in Justin's eyes indicated the wizard seemed disturbingly aware of Peter's thoughts. I think my alphaness can survive. But please don't interfere again. Justin shrugged. I'll try not to while I'm a guest. Peter didn't know how to tell Justin he'd become more than a guest. The only way a werewolf left his mate was through death. With a knowing smirk, Justin followed Cyrus into the pack house, not looking back even when Peter growled at the vision of Justin's tight ass. Some things were growl-worthy. Douglas shook himself off and stood at the bottom of the steps, staring at his alpha. What were you thinking? Peter asked, genuinely surprised. We've never had that kind of relationship. That's because you don't like guys, his beta said, walking up the stairs. You've always been into the ladies until this wizard wanders in and suddenly you're the gay alpha. What the hell? I didn't know you liked men, Peter countered. How could I have not known? All this time. Because you only see what you want to, and I was careful to only bring female dates to the pack house. I'm bisexual, so it wasn't hard to hide. Peter looked at his best friend, wondering if he'd ever really known him. What else had Douglas hidden over the years? Had Peter really been as unaware as all that? Why didn't you tell me? Douglas came to stand on the top step with him. Because I didn't want to lose you. He stepped forward. Peter didn't step back. Alphas never back down. Some packs toss out gays, and I'd rather hide than be away from you. You're the most important person in my life. Douglas begged Peter with his eyes for understanding. Douglas, you've known me for years. Why would you think I'd toss you out? You should know me better than that. Hurt knifed Peter's chest at his friend's poor opinion of him. Damn it, Peter, I'm sorry. I worried the others might pressure you, and for the sake of the pack you'd give in. I should have known better. Douglas looked like he might hug him, and Peter's hackles rose. Peter couldn't stop the low growl building in his throat. Step back, he warned. At that moment, he knew he'd mated with the wizard because the thought of anyone other than Justin touching Peter made him queasy. My God, you really did it. You mated with a wizard. Douglas' eyes widened with surprise. The pack won't take this well. Then the pack can go elsewhere. We both know you don't get to pick your mate. Fate and the moon goddess chooses for you. I sure as hell wouldn't pick a wizard if I had a choice, but since I don't, I'll take the one offered and deal. Now act like a proper beta and go tell the pack there's a meeting later. I want to introduce Justin before any rumors spread. For a second, he didn't think Douglas would follow his orders. They glared at each other for a moment until Peter let out a low growl and flashed his fangs. He would be an alpha with a pack, or he would be an alpha without one. Douglas averted his eyes like a proper beta should. Yes, alpha. Douglas' voice broke, and for a moment, Peter felt a pang of sorrow for the loss of his old friend. No matter whether Douglas became reconciled with his bond with Justin or not, Peter's relationship with his beta would never be the same. Chapter 2. Justin looked around the pretty bedroom and gave his little brother a grateful smile. Thanks, bro. I appreciate you talking the alpha into letting me stay. Even if the Wolfman checked all the boxes on Justin's things to select an man list, he'd definitely have to get him a taste of the alpha before he left town. Cyrus' violet eyes shifted nervously around. Please don't destroy the pack house during your visit. Justin patted his brother's shoulder. I'll do what I can, but I make no promises. Cyrus snorted. What was with Peter anyway? I've never even seen him even look at another man before. I can't help it. He was too sexy to pass up. Justin hummed happily. The brothers broke down laughing until they collapsed on the bed with tears in their eyes. Cyrus got serious. I'm sorry to hear about your breakup. Justin shrugged. Tom and I weren't meant to be. He was someone to pass the time with, but we weren't madly in love. There were too many problems with falling for a power-hungry wizard. Tom had wanted to use Justin's magic and corrupt it for his own uses. Justin might have made some bad decision in the past, but loving Tom didn't make the list. Cyrus prodded. Still, I want you to have someone. Justin nudged Cyrus with his shoulder. You just want to match everyone up. Since you found your Anna, he teased. Better to distract his brother than let him sense something was truly bothering Justin. There's nothing wrong with that, Cyrus protested. No, there isn't. Don't get me wrong, I think it's sweet you found your mate. But wizards don't work that way. I won't meet the man of my dreams and know instantly he's the one. I have to fumble around like the rest of the mortals, hoping to find Mr. Might last for a while. Cyrus put an arm around his brother and gave him a sideways hug. I'm glad you're here, Justin. I was worried about you. That's because you're a nurturer. When your wife starts having pups, you'll probably be the one who'll stay home with them. Probably, Cyrus agreed. His voice held such contentment Justin had to smile. That better be your brother or someone is going to die, a female voice spoke from the doorway. A female version of the alpha walked through the entrance. Her model sharp features, lush lips, and the aura of authority pouring off of her would bring any straight man to his knees. Justin admired her for a moment as she sniffed the air. You must be Anna. Justin stood up, took Anna's hand, then placed a kiss on the back of it. Congratulations on your mating with my brother. Thank you. Maybe you can explain why you smell like my brother. Justin smiled wide. Because he's too hot to resist kissing. Her caramel-colored eyes examined him closely. And you're unharmed, why? Justin answered with zero hesitation. Because I'm a hot piece of ass. Anna laughed. The expression softened her hard features and brought forward her true beauty. When she turned toward Cyrus, the look of adoration in her gaze stole Justin's breath. She held her hand out, and Cyrus stood up to take it. Let's go, my love. Peter has an announcement. She looked over at Justin. He wants you to come, too. It's in the meeting room. I'll be there in a moment, Justin promised. I'm just going to put away my stuff. After giving vague directions to where the meeting would be held in waves. Goodbye, they finally left. Justin impatiently waited until they were gone before he pulled a small box from his pocket. After scanning the room, he slipped the container into a pot containing a fern. The green leaves effectively concealed the small container. That should be safe, Justin decided after examining the plant from all angles. He almost gave in to the temptation to coax the leaves to grow thicker, but he didn't want any of the wolves to sniff out the extra concentration of magic and become curious. The box's design hid the magic within. It would ruin the point if he added more and gave away its location. Whistling a tuneless song, Justin left the room to go see what the handsome alpha wolf wanted to announce. Justin blinked in surprise at the large number of people standing around the meeting room. He hadn't realized how big a pack his brother had joined. The gorgeous alpha stood in the middle of the room mingling with his pack. Every once in a while he patted a shoulder here or spoke in someone's ear. There. Fuck, the man defined hot. Not sure why the alpha wanted him there. Justin leaned against the back wall and waited to hear the big announcement. His skin prickled the exact moment the alpha saw him, and an electric jolt shot through Justin's body when their gazes met. Justin silently vowed to get the alpha into his bed before he left, or any flat surface. He wasn't picky. Peter motioned for Justin to join him. Curious, Justin slipped through the crowd until he stood in front of the alpha. I wanted you to come stand by me, Peter said. All right. Why Peter wanted a virtual stranger next to him when he talked to his pack, Justin didn't know, but standing so close to Peter made shivers of neat go up and down Justin's spine so he wouldn't argue. Peter wrapped his arm around Justin's shoulders. It took all of Justin's restraint to resist knocking the other man back. Not given to public signs of affection, the alpha's touch smothered Justin even as it turned him on. Smacking the alpha probably wouldn't endear him to the pack, and right then, he needed the wolves more than Cyrus knew. If the people chasing him caught him, he'd be a dead man. No one would think to hunt for a wizard in a pack house. In general, wizards and Werewolf had poor opinions of each other. Everyone. I want to introduce Justin. He's Cyrus' brother, and if you haven't had a chance to meet him earlier, I should warn you to be on your best manners. He's a wizard. A rustling of gasps and muttered comments too quiet for Justin to hear. Distinct words followed Peter's announcement, and for Peter and Cyrus' sake, Justin pretended not to notice them. For the sake of pack security, I'll be happy to keep an eye on Justin while he's visiting. A blue-eyed male wolf watched Justin appreciatively. A low growl vibrated along Justin's back. Startled, he looked over his shoulder to see Peter's warm eyes had turned the same colorless white blue of a winter sea. Peter's right hand transformed, his fingertips turning to claws before Justin's fascinated gaze. Touch him and die, Leo. He's mine. Leo paled. I didn't know, Alpha. He tilted his neck submissively, and Justin felt some of the tension ease out of the man-wolf behind him. Anyone who touches him will feel my wrath. He's part of my family. Cyrus. Brother, he is kin to my kin and has a special place in my heart. Justin didn't care much about the alpha's heart, but the large bulge rubbing against his ass definitely had his attention. How long will he be staying? Douglas, the wolf Justin battled earlier, stepped forward. Justin thought he saw a flash of pain in the shifter's eyes, but Justin had no idea what brought the expression about and couldn't care less if he tried. Justin wasn't there to get involved with kin. He didn't even particularly like wolves, his brother excluded. There was little he wouldn't do for Cyrus. He loved the younger man as he cared for few people. His brother was all the family he had left in the world, and Justin couldn't have been more pleased when Cyrus called and told Justin he had found his mate. His father instructed Justin years before about how important a mate was to kin. Even though wizards didn't generally mate for life, his father had loved Cyrus' mother. The woman could be a prime bitch, but she had made a good parent. and Justin had mourned for both of them when she died with their father in a car crash. Justin had inherited his mother's magical power, making him one of the strongest wizards ever born. Unfortunately, he'd done nothing with that ability but get into an increasingly tangled bit of trouble. His mother had died before she could give him any tips on how to use his abilities. It had taken most of Justin's life to gather even a smidgen of control. Peter's breath on the back of his neck returned Justin's attention to the topic at hand. How long do you plan on staying? Peter asked in a warm, caressing tone. Justin racked his brain for how long he could stay. He didn't want to bring trouble to Cyrus' doorstep, so he couldn't linger very long. Maybe week. It would probably be less, but he didn't want to tell anyone the exact time. The less the wolves knew, the less they could accidentally pass on to someone else. He lived by that theory, and hopefully he wouldn't die by it. Peter sniffed at his neck again before the older man said, I think you can stay longer than that. How about a month? Justin shook his head and gave a shaky laugh. I can't stay that long. I have to get back to work. If he didn't return soon, they would give his job to someone else, and with his specialty, it could be difficult to find another position in his field. What do you do? Peter pressed a kiss into the back of Justin's neck. Goose bumps shivered down Justin's spine. He tried to shake it off without showing Peter how he had affected him. Justin swallowed, trying to get moisture into his suddenly dry throat, and attempted to concentrate on the conversation. I'm an instructor of inter-dimensional spell theory and symbology at the University of Colorado. Cyrus beamed. My brother is well known in his field. Justin squirmed beneath his brother's proud expression. That pride was why Justin didn't want to tell Cyrus of his trouble. Nothing would be worth losing. That look in his brother's. Chapter 3. Peter rubbed his cheek across the top of Justin's head, enjoying the feel of the silky strands against his skin. He wondered if he could get the younger man to grow it out so he had more to play with. Looking up from his contemplation of Justin's locks, he found his entire pack staring at him with strange expressions on their faces. Oh, you're all dismissed. I just wanted to introduce everyone to Justin. He waved a hand indicating they could go. Leo, the cheeky bastard, came forward to shake Justin's hand. Peter pulled the wizard away with a warning growl. Just checking, Alpha, just checking. Leo smiled and winked at Justin. What's he checking? Justin asked once Leo left the room. Whether I'm going to rip out his throat or not. It was a close thing. Peter would have to have a private talk with Leo before he let him anywhere near Peter's mate. Do you get this possessive with all your guests? No, baby. I'm just possessive of you. Not wanting to scare off the man who smelled like toasted cinnamon, Peter didn't elaborate. Tension built in his mate's body. He'd have to ask Cyrus about his brother's past and possibly current relationships. He wanted to know if he'd have to compete with anyone else for Justin's heart like that ex-Cyrus had mentioned before. Why don't you take a shower and have a little nap before dinner? I'm sure you're exhausted after your travels. Justin couldn't hold back his yawn. Thanks, babe, I'll do that. He absently patted the bemused Alpha's hand. Peter watched as the wizard walked away. Douglas laughed softly beside him. Did he just call the toughest Alpha in the 50 states, babe? Yes, I believe he did. Peter didn't know what to make of that or the warm feeling filling his chest over Justin's casual affection. I know Justin's father loved his mother from what my brother-in-law said, but do you think a wizard can truly bond with a were? Douglas shrugged. I'd like to say no, but that would be jealousy talking. Think we'll have to keep a wait-and-see policy when it comes to your man. Peter nodded. I think you might be right. It took Peter a few minutes to hunt down Cyrus. He found his brother-in-law in the main room, curled up with Anna and watching a football game. Ah, aren't you too cute? He couldn't resist teasing the couple curled up on the couch. Anna snarled. He held back his laughter when Cyrus absently patted her hip. Peter doubted Cyrus even noticed his own actions, but Anna immediately calmed beneath her mate's touch. Peter wondered if he would ever get that comfortable with Justin. Somehow he doubted it. Is there something you wanted, brother? Or were you just going to stare at us all afternoon? Anna lifted an eyebrow in inquiry. I was thinking how nicely your mate has you tamed, Peter taunted. His body tensed, prepared to jump back if she went after his throat. Another Wolf would have been called to task for talking to their alpha in such a snide tone, but for littermates different rules applied. To his surprise, she snuggled farther into her mate's embrace. You'll understand when you find your own mate. Her smug smile pushed him into confessing. I already have. Anna and Cyrus jumped to their feet and rushed over to give him a hug. Oh, Peter, that's fabulous, Anna gushed. He noticed Cyrus' congratulations were a little muted. It's Justin, isn't it? A man. You can't mate with that wizard. Her tone filled with nothing but disgust. That wizard is my brother. Peter stared, shocked at his brother-in-law. For the first time since he'd met Cyrus, he looked truly angry. Cyrus' eyes glowed with an inner rage as he glared at his mate. I'm sorry if you think my wizard brother isn't good enough to be your brother's mate, but I'm proud of him. He's a fine man who has protected me my entire life, and I won't tolerate anything less than respect toward him. I'll be in the library if you need me. Cyrus stomped from the room. His anger left an acrid scent behind. Anna turned on Peter. I can't believe you caused my first fight. Peter raised his hands in self-defense. I think you did that all on your own. Growling, Anna stormed from the room. Peter shook his head. Justin had only been here a short while and already he caused dissension in the pack. At least his sister would probably get great make-up sex out of the situation. Peter could only hope for some hot mating encounters in his own future. Justin prowled around his room. Complications weren't what he needed right now. The alpha wolf might be a hot piece of ass, but Justin didn't have time for romantic entanglements. Unfortunately, the queasy feeling in his stomach told him Peter didn't think of Justin as convenient sex, but as a person to keep. The obvious marking behavior had Justin worried. If the alpha thought of Justin as his mate, then Justin had walked into more trouble than he'd brought. Tom wouldn't hesitate to hurt anyone Justin became attached to. After watching his dad and stepmother together, and now Cyrus with his mate, Justin couldn't be completely against the thought of having someone forever faithful to him. The timing part sucked. Hell, if a lifelong mate came wrapped up in a sexy alpha package, Justin wouldn't even protest. He'd had enough bad relationships to know when a good thing came along. But again, the timing couldn't be worse. On the run from the wizard cartel, if they found Justin, they could make things very unpleasant. Since Cyrus had joined a new pack and moved halfway across the country, there should be a few days before anyone figured out where Justin went. Justin's cell phone rang. After pulling it out of his pocket, he looked at the readout. Shit. He bit his lip as he debated on whether or not to answer it, deciding it would be more detrimental to ignore the call than to answer it. He pressed the button. Hello, Tom. Justin smiled when his voice came out steady. Come home immediately, Justin, and I won't set the gargoyles on you. Tom's voice crackled with magic. The power he kept just under the surface sparked with his fury. Justin was mildly surprised the other wizard didn't short-circuit Justin's phone. What, are you out of flying monkeys? He wouldn't give in, he wouldn't. He was in the right. He would not return it. The council won't tolerate your behavior. Really? Did you call them and tell them your plans? Did you confess you were going to destroy all the work in? Did you, Tom? A short silence on the phone did nothing to boost Justin's confidence. You know they won't believe you, don't you? Tom's oily tone oozed over Justin like warm tar. After all, who are they going to think is telling the truth? A famous, powerful wizard with a seat on the council, or a man who abandoned his place at the college to run off with a powerful artifact? Justin swallowed convulsively, trying to bring moisture to his arid throat. They'll believe the one who doesn't destroy an entire race of beings, Justin insisted. Even to his own ears it fell flat. Tom laughed, a harsh, unpleasant sound. By the time they figure that out, it will be too late and I'll be running the place. Tom, have you been reading the bad guy's book to world domination again? Thought I'd burned your copy. Very amusing, Justin, but as good as you were in bed, I won't forget you. Turned on me in the end. Watch your back because I'm coming for you. The click ending the call sounded almost as ominous as the conversation. With a sigh, Justin threw himself onto the bed. I'm so fucked, he said to the empty room. Chapter 5. Justin walked into the pack house only to be stopped by Cyrus. His brother looked rumpled and unhappy. Cyrus' wife glared at Justin over his brother's shoulder. What's going on? My wife doesn't think you're good enough for her brother. Oh crap. The misery in his sister-in-law's face meant Cyrus had his back up. Cyrus rarely lost his temper, but when he did, it took a lot to make it go back down. When she mouthed help over Cyrus' shoulder, Justin knew he had to step in. Wrapping an arm around his brother, Justin led him away from the interested crowd and into a side parlor. With a glare around the room, it quickly emptied. Sit. Cyrus frowned. I'm not a dog. Oh, sit the hell down, Justin grumbled, throwing himself into a chair. Sacrificing himself to Gaia didn't make him a good brother. Not punching Cyrus in the face for interrupting Justin's chance to get laid did. He could imagine Peter's naked body sprawled out on his bed waiting for him. And after their interlude in the forest, he knew exactly what waited for him. Cyrus growled before sitting on the couch. How can I stay with a woman who thinks my family is beneath her? What did she say exactly? He didn't want to take sides, but while Anna might think him not good enough for her brother, Justin banked on the fact she'd be too smart to actually say the words. She said Peter couldn't mate with that wizard. She called you that wizard. As if it left a bad taste in her mouth. Cyrus' voice rose with his ire. Calm down, Cyrus. How many wizards does Anna know? Cyrus shrugged. Probably none. See, she's probably grown up thinking bad things about wizards, while you know from experience we're an extremely charming group. She just needs to get used to me, especially since her brother claimed me already. What? Cyrus' eyes went round with surprise. Justin tilted his head, showing off the bite. He found himself a little surprised. Cyrus hadn't noticed it before, but then his brother had problems of his own. Cyrus walked over, leaning down to check out the bite. Wow, that's quite a mark. Do you have one? Cyrus shook his head. Work can heal too quickly, and only an alpha can leave a permanent scar. He must have really wanted you. I've never seen one so big before. Usually it's a little nip with the front fangs. It looks like he used his entire mouth for yours. Justin blushed. He didn't think now would be the time to mention there were extenuating circumstances. Like I said, I'm sure once Anna and I get to know each other we'll get along just fine. You think? Cyrus looked so hopeful Justin's heart gave a little twist. I'm sure. Cyrus smiled. How about you help Anna pick up our order from the warehouse? They just called and our food is ready. We have it special delivered to a building just out of town because the quantities are so large. Justin let out a long sigh. He really wanted to go have sex, but he'd never been able to deny his brother anything. Sure. I'd be happy to. Great. Cyrus flashed him a megawatt smile. Rushing out the door, he quickly returned with his mate. Anna. Justin agreed to go with you to get our order from the warehouse. Anna's gaze went cautious, but she gave Cyrus a sweet smile. Great, we'll just go do that then. With a happy look in his eyes, Cyrus walked out of the room. Anna glared. You better make it look like you adore me, or I'll make your life a living hell. Justin stood up and marched over to her until he towered over her slender frame. And you better be so sweet my teeth ache, because I could be upstairs being fucked by your brother instead of fixing your marriage. A wide smile crossed Anna's face. You mean my brother is upstairs waiting for you? Justin nodded. And you're here taking me to pick up groceries in order to make your brother happy instead of getting sex from mine? Yes, Justin growled. Anna slid her hand around Justin's arm. You know, for a wizard you really are sweet. Don't make me hurt you. Laughing, Anna pulled him through the house, out the door and up to a large white van. Just do me a favor. What? She plopped a set of keys into his hand. You drive. I want to text my brother that I've abducted his mate. You just made my year. I can't tell you how happy that makes me. He let a good dose of sarcasm creep into his tone. Giggling, the female alpha went to get into the passenger side. Peter is going to kill me, Justin muttered before climbing into the van. After he kills you. Peter stared at the readout on his phone. Bitch. He growled as his fingers flew across the tiny keyboard. He had no doubt his serious sister giggled madly while she typed up her message. She wouldn't be laughing much after she read what he planned to do to her once she got back with his mate. After sending his text, he climbed out of bed to get dressed. No point in staying there now. His erection deflated after he learned his mate wouldn't be joining him. He'd barely gotten his clothes on when a knock sounded on his door. Pulling it open revealed Cyrus on the other side. The smaller wolf shifted from foot to foot and bit his lip as he stood in the doorway. For the first time, Peter didn't have patience to deal with his skittish new brother. What? He barked. I just got a text from Justin. I didn't know he was supposed to meet with you. It was my idea for him to go with Anna to the warehouse and get the supplies. Peter threw back his head and laughed. Fuck, cock-blocked by my own brother-in-law. Too damn funny. He clapped Cyrus on the shoulder. It's all right. He'll be back in an hour or so, and I can pounce on him then. Cyrus gave him a relieved smile. Great. I just wanted Anna and Justin to bond. I'd like for her to get to know my brother. He's really a great guy. Cyrus' face held such a hopeful expression Peter knew he'd have agreed even if he didn't already like Justin. He's an amazing person. He'll make a great partner. We just need to iron out a few things. Cyrus' brilliant smile rivaled the moon. I'm so glad he told you about Tom. Was worried you'd take it badly. Peter's neck prickled. If he'd been in wolf form, his hackles would be rising. What are you talking about? Cyrus took a step backward. You mean he didn't tell you? Tell me what? Cyrus took another step back. Peter lunged and grabbed the smaller man by the back of his neck. Don't even think about running. You're going to come in here and tell me everything you know about Justin's situation. Maybe by the time his man returned, Peter would finally be one step ahead of the wizard. This indicated anything about their future. He needed to stay on his toes. He had a feeling his gorgeous mate would be more work than a pack full of wolves. Peter tossed Cyrus toward the bench at the end of his bed. The smaller wolf stumbled before plopping onto the padded seat. What do you know about your brother's problems? I heard him talking in his room. I was going to ask him to go for a walk when I heard him speaking to someone. I knew he used to date a guy named Tom, so I listened in to see what he was saying because I suspected you were mates. Cyrus blushed. I wouldn't usually eavesdrop, but I've been worried about him. Cyrus repeated what he'd learned. So this Tom wants to destroy all shifters? That's what he said. I don't know why, and I left before I heard the ending. Because I didn't want to be caught listening. That's why you missed the good part. What good part? Cyrus wrinkled his nose. Where your brother became Gaia's soldier. What? Peter filled Cyrus in on the events in the forest before asking. Is this how things are going to be? Cyrus frowned. What do you mean? Am I going to have to pump him for information in order to know what my mate is up to all the time? Possibly. Justin's a really private person and he's protective of the people he loves. You should probably take it as a sign. The more he shares, the less he cares about you. Peter growled. He'll share with me, and I plan to be someone he cares about. He examined Cyrus for a moment until the younger man wiggled uneasily on the bench. How did your parents' marriage work out? I've never heard of a wizard and a werewolf having a relationship. A wide smile crossed Cyrus' face. They were wonderful. My parents were madly in love, and even though they didn't bond like a werewolf pair would, I've never met two people more committed to their marriage. They had the type of relationship I hope to have with Anna. You think you can have that? Peter didn't know how he felt about his relationship with Justin. Being fated mates didn't guarantee a happy ending. There had been work-in who were bonded but never even liked each other. His own parents hadn't been in love. They stayed together because they were mated and couldn't live apart. His father had once told him to never bond with anyone because great sex didn't always make a happy life. When Peter had been young, he thought his father insane. Why wouldn't great sex be all a couple needed? As he got older, he realized what his father tried to tell him. In his mind's eye, he remembered Justin offering himself up for his brother's happiness. How could he not fall in love with a person like that? He barely knew the man and already considered himself halfway in love. I think you and Justin make a good pair, Cyrus blurted out, his face turning red. Peter laughed. Thanks. It would go better if he were joining me in my bedroom instead of you. Cyrus tilted his head and examined Peter. For a man who never showed interest in any of the male wolves before, you don't seem put off that your mate is a guy. I know I'd be upset. Shaking his head, Peter smiled. I always knew deep down that my mate would be a man. That's why I always dated women. I wasn't ready to settle down yet. And you are now? Peter nodded. Although, if my mate can stop antagonizing the greater powers, I'd be much happier. Cyrus laughed. Good luck with that. Justin was born to stir things up. He doesn't always mean to, but he can't seem to help himself. I have a feeling my life is going to become very interesting. If your encounter with Mother Earth didn't scare you off, I think you'll be the perfect partner for my brother. Peter held Cyrus' gaze. I will certainly try. Chapter 6. Justin pulled up to the warehouse and peered through the windshield. Are you sure this is the place? Anna glanced out the window. This is where we've always picked things up in the past, but there are usually other cars and, she waved her hand. People. He scanned the empty parking area. A sense of abandonment hung around the building. Definitely not the bustling place he'd expect for business. Expecting a pickup. Huh. I'd ask you to stay in the car, but I doubt you will. Nope. I've got a bad feeling about this. The complete absence of any employees or signs of life around the building made Justin's danger alert jangle madly. Me too, but we've got to get the order. The pack has to eat. Good point. Justin didn't want to go back to a bunch of hungry wolves and tell them a wizard and the alpha sister were too afraid to enter the building. Anna patted him on the shoulder. I've got your back. I might be torn about your relationship with my brother, but my husband loves you and I won't let you get killed. Thanks. Justin appreciated the support. Unfortunately, it might not be up to her whether he stayed safe or not. Cyrus would be devastated if anything happened to his wife. He had to keep her safe. Without warning, Justin threw a protection spell around her. He hid the satisfying click of magic falling into place with the sound of slamming the driver's door shut. Anna looked around. Did you hear that? What? She listened for a moment. Nothing. Justin slid the keys in his pocket so he had his hands free. Stay alert. I'm counting on you to warn me. Got it. He tried to hide his surprise when Anna willingly took direction from him. He thought he'd have to fight her for dominance, but she appeared confident in his leadership when they approached the door. Justin's hands tingled with suppressed magic, and he concentrated on building up his energy. Instinct and the decided lack of people sent warning bells clanging loudly through his body. He cautiously approached the side door and reached for the handle. Unlocked. Exchanging a look with Anna, he then pulled the door open and winced at the loud screech. The hinges hadn't been oiled in a long time. The feral light in Anna's eyes indicated she would be ready to shift if necessary, especially since whoever waited inside would have heard all the noise they made. Glaring, Anna pushed her way through first. No reason to stay silent or attempt to be stealthy. Justin followed. Boxes with colorful pictures of fruits and vegetables plastered on their sides filled the warehouse. At the back of the building, rows of silver freezer doors lined the wall. There is no way this is a good sign. I've seen horror movies that were less creepy. Hello, Anna shouted out. Justin instinctively moved to quiet her but stopped himself in time. Someone waited for them. It was no secret that they'd arrived. In hindsight, Justin should have sensed the trap. There was a circle in the middle of the floor made of flour, obvious containment magic, and Justin missed it until Anna walked right across the border and activated the spell. Green lights flared from the powdery surface, and a soft clicking sound sealed the spell and the female shifter inside. Justin, run! Anna screamed. Justin looked around the warehouse. She must have taken her stupid pills when she woke up if she thought he'd leave his brother's mate in a spell trap and run off like an idiot while her captors did who knew what to her. Well, it looks like our little bird has flown home just like I thought. Tom walked out from of the shadows with a half-dozen men following silently behind him. Too bad we caught a puppy instead of a man. Tom's lackeys laughed. Kill her, Tom ordered casually, as someone else would say to swat a fly. I wouldn't if I were you. Justin let the low rumble of this voice fill with power and pushed it out of his body with a thrust of his hands. All the men. But Tom toppled from the gust of air Justin released. Childish games, Tom smirked. You can't defeat me. You're too weak. Too bad. You've always had a soft spot for the humanly challenged. That's one of the many reasons you can't rule by my side. That and the fact I have too much taste to want to. Justin raised his hands to attack again when a pinprick pierced his neck. He yanked the small dart from his skin. What did you do? Tom smiled. What? Did you think we would have a big wizard battle? The man gave a sinister laugh. Don't be an idiot. My intel says you've hidden the bar. At the pack house. A cold light entered his eyes. I've changed my mind after all. I'll just torture your pet wolf until you give it up. Justin felt the drug pumping through his system. Damn, he'd let Cyrus down. His brother had trusted Justin with his mate, and now because of Justin's relationship with Tom, Anna would be made to suffer. He couldn't do it. He wouldn't let Anna stay trapped. Only one way could he ensure she stayed safe. Anna, give Cyrus my love. Justin took a deep breath and closed his eyes. He envisioned his brother. The scent, the touch, the essence of Cyrus. Using his bonds of love and blood, Justin focused the remainder of his energy and shoved his magical power away from him and straight toward his sister-in-law, past the wizards, through the barrier and right into the wolf who disappeared upon impact. What did you do? Tom screamed. With a smile, Justin gave in to the darkness. Chapter 7. Peter and Cyrus were walking down the stairs when his sister appeared out of nowhere and landed in the middle of the pack foyer. Oh fuck! Cyrus swore before stumbling down the stairs to reach his wife's side. Peter shook his head. Did you annoy Justin? He figured the two couldn't stay in the same vehicle without bloodshed. He stopped smiling when Anna turned a tear-streaked face in his direction. He and Anna had battled back and forth their entire lives, and he could count on one hand the number of times he'd seen her cry, even as a child. A cold feeling settled in his stomach. Where's Justin? A chill raced down his spine, and his inner wolf gave a soft whimper. They took him. What happened? Tell me. Peter wanted his mate, and he didn't care how many people would have to die beneath his claws and teeth to get him back. 3 days. 3 days since Justin had disappeared. Peter sent the pack out over and over to the warehouse to send his wizard. He'd even set his best investigators to find out more about the bastard who had kidnapped his mate. So far nothing. Tom had vanished, and after Anna told Peter what the other wizard said, Peter was beside himself thinking about Justin being tortured while they sat around, chasing their tails. He'd even tried calling for Mother Nature's help in the forest, but she didn't respond to any of his pleas. I'm sure he's fine. Douglas held out a cup of coffee. Peter growled and snatched the mug out of his beta's hand. What do you care? You wanted him gone anyway. He wouldn't accept sympathy from someone who probably did a little dance of joy when he heard Justin had gone missing. Douglas sighed. I can't say I care anything for Justin, but I can see how this is tearing you apart. Peter shrugged off the hand Douglas laid on his shoulder. He couldn't eat, he couldn't sleep, and ripping out the throat of his best friend sounded really appealing. Cyrus and Anna came into the room, holding hands and looking miserable. Ever since Justin teleported her to the pack house, the fight had gone out of his sister. On the plus side, once they got Justin back, Peter knew his sister wouldn't oppose the union. Any word? Anna asked. Peter shook his head. Not yet. I keep hoping, but wizards can mask their smell. They might be blocking our abilities. Cyrus' head snapped up. So why don't we look for places that have no scent? What do you mean? Peter stared at his brother-in-law, trying to figure out the gist of his words. I'm saying if they scrub their tracks, there should be pockets of places where there aren't any traces of anything at all. If they're in the city, we should be able to find them by looking for the empty spots. Cyrus looked at them like they were not two bright puppies. He's right. Douglas smiled. Hell, it doesn't hurt to at least try. A flash of hope grew in Peter's heart, and he turned to Douglas. Send out our best trackers. Tell them to look for places without a scent at all. Have them call in immediately if they find any. Douglas nodded and ran out of the room. Peter glanced out the window and sank into his thoughts, wondering how his mate fared if he remained safe. A hand on his arm startled him. He turned to see Cyrus beside him. You know he's strong, right? I know. He wouldn't have thought Justin a proper mate if he didn't believe in his man. I want him to be strong next to me, though. Hell, he wanted Justin at his side for the next century if they both lived that long. I need him. He confessed his deepest secret, or at least the deepest one an alpha could have. Peter not only missed his mate, he needed him to survive. Without Justin, Peter lacked a piece of his soul. In a normal shifter relationship, he'd be able to mentally connect with his mate with ease. Peter wondered if their previous connection had faded because they Didn't seal the deal with hot mating sex. Whatever the problem, Peter couldn't reach Justin. He'd spent hours trying to telepathically link with his mate and, so far, no luck. Justin woke to a world sparkling with pain. Bright light stabbed his eyes, and his pulse pounded in his head like a driving beat. "Here, have some water," a soft voice whispered, and a supportive arm wrapped around him. Justin blinked and tried to focus when a cup touched his lips. After a moment's gulp of the refreshing liquid, the glass disappeared. "Thank you." "You're welcome. There isn't much I can do for you, but I can at least give you water." Justin sat up and turned to look at his companion. Blue skin stretched across pointed features and a sharp-toothed smile met his gaze. "Who are you? What are you?" "I am Michele, a demon from the third realm. My master sent me to care for you." "Huh. I don't think I've met a demon before." With all the other creatures he'd met in his life, it shouldn't surprise him there were demons, but somehow it did. He received a wide smile for his statement. "We're very rare." Justin scooted away from the demon to look around better. The room had a nondescript feel, obviously a guest room with no personal knickknacks or anything else on the dresser or walls. What happened? Then he knew. Images of Tom trapping Anna in the spell circle, and Justin using his last burst of energy to send her away filled his mind. Closing his eyes, he concentrated on his magical energy. He let out a sigh of relief. His power lay beneath the surface waiting for his command. While rising, he kept a wary eye on the demon. "What exactly are your instructions?" Shell stood up with him and gave Justin a sunny smile. For a demon, the blue creature had an awfully cheery disposition, but Justin didn't know any other demons in comparison. "I'm supposed to give you water, offer you food, and make sure you don't wander outside this room on your own." Justin latched onto that last part. "So you can accompany me if I go outside this room. You don't have to keep me in here." The demon frowned and looked as if he were searching his mind for his instructions. Finally, he shook his head. "My exact orders were to watch you and keep you company. He didn't say you couldn't go outside of the room." "Excellent." Justin's hands tingled as he prepared his magic to be ready. "Open the door, please." If something bad lay on the other side, he didn't wish to be first. Through the door. Shell laughed. "It's only the living room. Nothing to get all sparkly over." "Sparkly?" The demon nodded. "Your magic is sparkly. I can see it all around you." "Quite fascinating. What does Tom's magic look like?" A flash of fear crossed Shell's face. "Too bright like fire." "Bad." "Open the door, Shell." He needed to get away and back to Peter. The Alpha would be furious with him. The demon nodded, but before he could reach for the knob, the door swung open. Tom smiled, an expression that didn't reach his cold eyes. "Excellent. I hoped you'd be awake. Now I have a few questions for you." Fear coiled like a viper in Justin's stomach. Behind him, Shell gave a soft whimper. Justin backed away from his former lover. How had he previously missed the mad glint in Tom's eyes? When they'd kissed, shouldn't he have been able to taste the psychopath underneath? "Now, Justin, it doesn't have to be like this." Tom kept his voice low and coaxing, but Justin remained focused on Tom's eyes. They held the righteous glow of a man on a mission. "How about I leave your brother and his mate alive? You can keep them as pets or something. I know how ridiculously devoted you are to that stupid wolf." Justin took another step away, keeping the demon behind him. His protective instincts were out in full force, and he didn't want the little blue guy injured. "You're a mad psychopath planning on taking over the world. I'm not sure we have anything to talk about." Justin's skin crackled with power as his magic rose to the surface, trying to push out of his body and defend whatever threatened him. Tom smiled. "Of course we do. After all, you still have the artifact and I still need it." Justin shook his head. "It's gone." He didn't even see the hand reach out until he dangled from the clenched fist of his enraged ex-lover. "Shell, show my sweet man why he should do what I say." "But master." "Do it." Tom's tone didn't allow room for disobedience. Justin lifted his foot to kick Tom in the nuts, only to have his body seize when electricity pulsed through his system. "Sorry, Justin," Shell said before everything went black. Cyrus lifted his head off his wife's shoulder. "I felt him." Peter growled. Cyrus had a bond with Justin, they were brothers after all, but That didn't stop the snarl on his lips. It should have been him detecting his mate, sharing Justin's experiences, not Cyrus. Cyrus tilted his head submissively and waited for Peter's anger to pass. He dragged in a deep calming breath. Sorry. Where is he? The smaller wolf shook his head. I don't know, he's gone. If his sister hadn't stepped forward to protect her mate, Peter would have thrown the other wolf against the wall. How could Justin be gone? What do you mean by gone? Like dead gone? Or missing gone? Surely he'd know. If his mate was dead, they might not have bonded completely, but he'd claimed. Justin, didn't that earn him some sort of psychic connection? Damn it. He slammed the wall with his fist, fury at his helplessness burning through him, until it whipped like a wildfire within his body. Getting upset isn't going to help. Anna scowled. Neither is sitting here with a thumb up my ass. Get a group together. We're going to check out the warehouse again and see if we can find any clues. Anna rolled her eyes. Peter, we've looked it over 10 times, there's nothing there. Then we look it over 11 times, he growled. Of course Justin had been long gone. These people weren't the type to hang around and wait for a counterattack. Peter wondered how they knew Justin would be at the warehouse, or were they just hoping that, by capturing a work-in, they could persuade Justin to trade himself for their captive. The fact Justin had gone on the food run turned out to be a lucky break for the idiots who captured his mate. What do you want me to do? Cyrus' expression showed how much his brother's abduction wore on the smaller wolf. Peter gave his new brother a much-needed something to do. Look into finding out more about Tom. If we can narrow down what properties he owns and where he likes to hang out, maybe we can figure out where they took Justin. A relieved look crossed the Cyrus face. I'll get on it. He rushed out after, giving his wife a quick kiss. Thanks for giving him a task. He really loves his brother, Anna said. Peter let out a low growl. He's not the only one. Go get together a team to start another search. We need to get my mate back as soon as possible before they do damage he can't repair. Anna nodded and vanished through the doorway. Come on, babe, Peter whispered. Tell me where you are. He thought about going back to the forest, but he knew Mother Nature wouldn't extend him any favors. She was of the Spartan belief. Her soldier could return, either carrying her sickle or after being stabbed through the chest. With it, Douglas entered the room. Any word yet? No, he didn't ask why the beta would care, though the words trembled on his tongue. Can I come for the search? Why would you want to? He resisted the urge to roll his eyes when he asked. The one thing he'd planned not to ask. Douglas shrugged. I may be angry you chose the wizard over me, but I don't want you to die because you lost your mate either. I might be a jerk, but I'm not that big of an asshole. A smile hovered on Peter's lips. Are you sure? Can I have references? Funny. Douglas gave him a slight shove. Come on. I'm sorry for attacking your mate. He kicked my ass anyway. Peter shrugged. True. And you do have the best nose in the pack. Douglas nodded. All the more reason to let me go. The pair headed out to find Anna and discover who she'd rounded up to hunt for. Peter's mate. The empty warehouse mocked Peter, as did the faint scent of his mate. Although Justin had a great deal of magical power, someone more powerful had a stronger scent, and from the odors in the vacant building, a lot of someone's. I think I smell a demon, Anna said as she walked over to stand beside him. The others milled around, trying to look like they were doing something useful. What kind? Demons were extremely rare, and the thought of one touching Justin made Peter's heart race. Anna shook her head. I can't tell. I haven't encountered this kind before. Nothing about that statement made Peter happy. His wolf howled for its mate, and the blood of Justin's captors. It took all his effort to resist the urge to shift. Peter's phone rang. He smiled when he saw it was Cyrus. Anna had forbidden him from coming because she worried someone might have returned. Unfortunately, to Peter's mind, there was no one there, and not even the remainder of the spell could be tracked back to its origin. Peter pushed the connect button. Tell me you know where he is? No, but I do think I located Justin's Tom Freeman. Shock made Peter almost drop the phone. Councilman Freeman? Yep. I called around, and rumor has it Justin dated Freeman for a few months. That must have been around the time he discovered the man's obsession with work-in. Did you find out where he lives? Yes, but he hasn't been seen for days. I put a track on his credit card, so We should have a location soon unless he's using cash. I think he's arrogant enough to think he doesn't need to hide his tracks. Peter bared his teeth at the thought of his mate in the hands of an ex-lover, especially one who went to elaborate ends to capture Justin. What would Freeman do when he realized Justin no longer had the artifact in its original form? Would he kill Justin after Justin refused to give Tom the necklace? Justin's devotion to his brother might prove too strong. Freeman is known for his anti-shifter stance. We need to get him out of there. Before he figures out Justin is mated to a wolf, he might just kill Justin out of spite, Cyrus said. Peter growled. We haven't completed the mating. He might not know. You bit him. That's enough. If he gets Justin's shirt off, he's in trouble. Damn it. Peter restrained the urge to throw his phone. Justin woke with a pounding head and the urge to kill someone. He didn't even particularly care if the person deserved it or not. Here, drink this. Shell's familiar voice broke into his subconscious. I should kick your ass. Yes, you should. The demon's quick agreement forced Justin to open his eyes and look at the creature. Shell's head hung down low, causing his black hair to hide his face while his slim body trembled. Justin sighed. He couldn't hold on to his anger with the little guy looking so forlorn. Where am I now? And why is Tom keeping me? Why doesn't he just kill me? He wants the artifact. Shell worried his bottom lip with his fangs. I think he also wants you. He didn't say, but he's obsessed with keeping you here. He told me to let him know as soon as you wake up. Great. It's bad enough I've been captured. Now I'm the fragile heroine in this story. Where am I again? My master's penthouse in Manhattan. Great. Another state entirely. Peter would want to kill Justin. Not only did he not get bonding sex, but Justin had vanished on him. I've got to get out of here. Shell jumped off the stool by the bed and to his feet. I can't help you. Tilting his head back, he showed Justin a collar he hadn't noticed before. Binding collar. Justin had only seen them on dragons and hellhounds before. Never on a sentient being. Tom bound you. The power to bind another and subdue their will counted as one of the darkest arts. A man he'd once cared for had taken over another's life. The idea made Justin want to hurl. You could counterbind. Shell's eyes glowed with fervor. I wouldn't mind being owned by you. Justin's skin crawled over the thought of owning another being, but he didn't want to leave anyone under Tom's power either. What would I have to do? Shell's gaze darted around the room, no doubt worried Tom had the room bugged with spying devices, not an unreasonable suspicion. You have to give me something to take its place. My master's binding will break if another stronger person asserts their rights. You're the first wizard I've met who is stronger than Tom and with non-scary magic. Justin clenched his fists. I'm not a slaver. I can't own a person. The idea had so many levels of wrong Justin couldn't even count them all. Shell sat on the bed beside him. You have to. It's the only way out of this place. Tom has put a magical shield over this room. The only escape is through an alternate dimension, and unless I'm mistaken, you don't have the ability to travel interdimensionally. Crap. Justin only wore one piece of jewelry, the necklace given to him by the Earth Goddess. Did he dare give it to a demon? Can anyone remove the necklace once I put it around your neck? Shell shook his head. What if they seal it over the other one like I'm about to do? No. They'd have to be more powerful than you. The demon turned wide eyes to Justin. I've never met anyone more powerful than you. There's always someone more powerful, Justin muttered. If life had taught him anything, it was that Justin wasn't at the top of the magical pyramid. He might be confident in his abilities, but he wasn't stupid. Odds were against him being the strongest wizard on the planet. Whether the odds were for or against that stronger wizard finding the demon was the question. Tom would be more likely to come after Justin than Shell. Justin took off his necklace and held it in front of the demon. This can never be taken away from you no matter what. Understand? Shell's blue skin paled. Yes, sir. Justin slid the necklace over the demon's neck, covering the collar with the chain. Now what do I do? Shell took Justin's hands and placed them around the demon's neck. Repeat. After me. I claim possession of this demon as my own. That's it. The demon nodded. But you have to mean it. Justin took a deep breath and centered his power. Closing his eyes, he focused on the blue-skinned creature before him. I claim possession of this demon as my own. Pouring energy through his hands, Justin heard a soft chime ring through the air. Shell's old collar broke and fell to the ground. Yes, the demon hissed. Before his eyes, Justin watched the petite demon grow. From a slim, delicate creature, Shell's shoulders expanded, his arms corded with muscles, and his pretty face transformed into a feral, sharp handsomeness. Turning his head, he smiled. Sharp, pointed teeth flashed in the dim lighting. Now I can be what I was meant to be, he said in a deep, gravelly voice. Justin's stomach flipped over as he watched the frightening transformation. He forced his voice steady. And what are you meant to be? Shell smiled. Yours. Justin scooted away from the demon. Oh no, absolutely not. Do you know what my mate would do if he thought I bonded with someone else? Until that moment, Justin had only thought of survival, not the effect his actions might have on his mate. Shell shrugged. I can share. Not me, you can't. He grabbed Shell's wrist, ignoring the demon's pouting expression. Justin didn't care how much the blue-skinned creature sulked, or looked cute, or anything. No doubt lived in his mind that Peter would skin Shell and wear a blue demon suit before he let another being touch Justin. Shell sighed. You humans are always so stuffy about your sexual appetites. Yes, we're very repressed, Justin agreed. Now get me out of here. Shell pulled Justin to his feet. Close your eyes. He gave the demon a long look, trying to determine if he could trust him. It's best if you don't see what we go through. Justin nodded. He might not be completely ready to trust Shell, but that sounded like good advice. Whatever demon realm they had to pass through was probably not one he wanted to remember in his dreams. Closing his eyes, he took a deep breath. Ready? Shell asked in a deeper voice than minutes before. As ready as I'll ever be. 1, 2. A blast of heat and the sound of tortured screams surrounded Justin. He squeezed his eyes shut tighter and gripped the demon as if he were trying to meld with the other man. Easy, I've got you. Just when he thought he couldn't take any more of the demon realm, cool calm air swirled around Justin, followed by silence. Is there a particular reason you're wrapped around my mate, or should I just kill you now? Peter's low, threatening growl sounded like beautiful music to Justin's ears. Cautiously opening his eyes, he realized he stood in the middle of the pack living room with at least 24 members staring at him with wide eyes. Shell's arm remained around Justin in a protective stance. You might want to let me go, Justin advised. Peter's fury emanated from across the room. Before Shell could scoot away, the pack leader marched over and yanked Justin out of the demon's embrace. Mine, he growled, low and angry. Shell gave him a confident smirk. He might belong to you, but I belong to him. Peter returned it with a dangerous smile of his own. Unfortunately, you won't live long enough to worry about semantics. The demon flicked his tail. You can't hurt me. If you hurt me, you hurt Justin. Oh, stop it, you two. Justin wrapped his arms around Peter, tension poured off of him. Peter held him tight. You all right? Justin nodded, sighing against the wolf's neck. The scent of Peter soaked into him, calming his shattered nerves. As brave as he tried to appear at Tom's, he'd worried he'd never see his man again. Sure, mate, I've got you. Peter nuzzled him, sliding his cheek against Justin's and sending tingles down his spine as little scratchy hairs scraped against his cheek. Oh, he whispered, enjoying the sensation. Let's go back to my room, and I can check you over for injuries. I don't. Justin caught himself in time. Yes, you should do that to be on the safe side. Peter smiled. I'm so happy you're back, even if you had to bring a demon with you. Justin shrugged. It was the only way to get out of the trapped room. Tom wasn't going to let me go on my own. And you couldn't break the trap? Not without alerting Tom and all of his minions. I might be stronger than him, but I'm not stronger than him and a couple of dozen other wizards. Peter squeezed him tight. That's why you need a pack. That's why I need you. Justin still didn't quite understand the dynamic of a pack, but he needed Peter and wouldn't separate an alpha from his people. Justin, a female voice called out. He turned in time to get a punch in the stomach. Ow! He rubbed his injury and glared at Anna. What was that for? For sending me back here. Peter and Cyrus were frantic, and all I could say was he shipped me back. I'm not a helpless pup. I could have helped. Justin rolled his eyes. Not against Tom. He hates wolves. He would have used you as a pawn against me before he killed you slowly and possibly in front of your mate if he could arrange it. He's a sadistic bastard. Besides, I wasn't thinking of you, I was thinking of my brother who would be broken-hearted and died if he lost his mate. Stop being a selfish bitch. Everyone in the room went silent. Peter wrapped a protective arm around Justin, but Justin didn't back down. He'd done the right thing and he wouldn't scrape and apologize for something he'd do again in a heartbeat. If it came to protecting his brother, the only remaining member of his family, he'd do anything to keep him and his happiness intact. Surprisingly, Anna looked away first. You're right, she said unexpectedly. If I were in the same position, I would have done it too. Bothers me I walked right into their trap, and you were stuck having to save me. Justin shrugged. Sometimes we all need saving. He nodded toward Cyrus. He saved my ass a few times before I came into my power. The least I could do was save his mate now. Before he inherited his magic, Justin had been a skinny kid with more mouth than sense. When a bully decided to make him their target, they hadn't counted on his shy little brother having a protective instinct a mile wide. You could push Cyrus pretty far, but if you laid a hand on his brother, he'd rip out your intestines. One kid barely made it to the hospital. After that, Justin had been left alone. And Cyrus went back to his books and yoga. Peter might be the alpha of the group, but sweet, gentle Cyrus would always be the one Justin kept an eye on in a fight. The saying held true, people should look out for the quiet ones. Cyrus met Justin's gaze, and a look of understanding passed between them. Their alpha mates could huff and puff and stomp about, but the brothers would do whatever necessary to keep their other halves safe. Peter wrapped his hand around Justin's wrist. Come, it's past time we finalized our bond. Justin batted his lashes. You sure know how to talk sweet. Peter snorted. Fine. Come upstairs so I can fuck you into oblivion and mark you again as mine. How's that? During his capture by Tom, Justin realized he had no intention of ever leaving Peter. As much as he wanted to be the noble hero, forsaking all others for their own protection, he didn't have it in him. Instead, he'd be a selfish bastard who had no plans of letting any of his loved ones go. He'd hold on to them until death ripped them from his tight-fisted grasp. A wide smile crossed Justin's face. Sounds great. Peter's eyes widened in surprise. No objections? None. Justin confirmed. I have one. Shell scowled. What objection could you possibly have that wouldn't make me want to kill you? Peter growled. Shell hesitated, but only for a moment. I'm bound to Justin. And Peter's tone indicated the rest of the statement better be a life or death situation, or it soon would be. I will feel the two of you having sex. Peter shrugged. Enjoy your private jack-off session. Before Justin could say anything, Peter yanked him out of the room and down the hall. I hate you, Shell shouted. I don't think I'm Demon Boy's new best friend, Peter said, laughing. Life definitely wouldn't be dull with his wolf mate. Peter opened the door at the end of the hall, shoved Justin through it, then slammed it closed behind them. Before Justin could think to speak, Peter covered Justin with his hard muscular body. If he'd been a cat shifter, he would have purred. Instead, he let out a long sigh. Peter nuzzled Justin's neck, growling at the scent. That damn demon left his scent on you. Sorry. That's all right. I'll take care of it. Peter pulled away to look Justin in the eyes. Never apologize for doing whatever it takes to stay alive and come back to me. I can forgive any offense if it keeps you safe. Justin met his mate's gaze and knew Peter spoke the truth. His survival was all that mattered to the other man. I think it's past time we completed our mating, don't you? Peter flashed him a deliciously wicked smile. Way past time.